All right, everyone, it is 2:03. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar on how to use Holganix products. Your hosts today are Rob McCoy, our Holganix sales manager. Rob, you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
You guys may have already heard him in previous webinars. He's been a usual star of ours. And then I'm over on the right, so I'll just be helping out today. We also have a surprise visit from our CEO and founder, Barrett Ersick. He'll be tuning in during the question and answer portion at the end of the webinar, and he may pop in and out as we move along. Barrett, you want to say hello?
Hello, hello.
So, you guys may have noticed that you are on mute. That's because we have quite a large audience today, and if we let you all talk at once, it would be a crowded space. So if you have any questions, we will be addressing them at the end of the webinar using the question or chat box in your GoToWebinar control panel. You're welcome to throw your questions in there as you think of them, but we won't be addressing them until the very end. So today's webinar, the skills that we're looking to develop as an audience is, number one, the benefits of using Holganix products. Number two, how to use Holganix products in plant start applications, which we'll go into later. And number three, how to use Holganix products in soil smart programs. Again, we will go into that later. But before we get started, we do have a couple audience questions for you. We just want to get an idea of who's on the webinar so we can best address it for you guys. Hold on one second, I'm going to launch this poll. So which description best fits you? Lawn and landscape contractor, Holganix distributor or partner, or other? Wow, we got 100% voted. That's pretty awesome. Thanks for all the engagement, guys.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was quick. All right, cool. So Rob, here are the results. We got a good mix of people.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, 53% of you have a lawn and landscape business of some sort, and 40% of you are a Holganix distributor or partner. 7% are other. Thanks so much for spending time with us, guys. The next poll we're going to ask here is, have you ever used Holganix products in the past? Check all that apply. So if you are a distributor, think of it from the perspective of what are your customers most using? So we have the Bio 800 Plus products. That's the lawn, golf, tree and shrub, bloom, and agriculture products. That's anything in a refrigerator. We have the PB1 products. It's golf or LTO. The prebiotic fertilizer line, which includes Blue Sky 2100, prebiotic 21020, and prebiotic 3000. We have the Healthy Grow infused with Holganix line. That's our granular products, or just not yet. Here are results. Pretty awesome.
Right.
Yeah, so
like mostly Bio 800 and then granular. So that really makes a lot of sense considering the amount of time that these products have been out. But it looks like PB1 just pulled up.
Yeah.
Even 800.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to see that so many people have been trying or using so many different products within their applications.
Okay.
And then last question, guys. Which services do you guys provide? Check all that apply. Lawn fertilization, tree and shrub fertilization, landscape installs, it's like flowers, tree, shrub, sod, or other. This is going to help us. The basis of this webinar is how to use Holganix products, but we need to understand how you guys are applying products in general in order to address it.
And again, those that are distributors or distributor representatives, I would check all those that you primarily deal with, the end user contractor that you're trying to help.
Awesome. Here are the results, Rob.
On fertilization, we got there. Tree and shrub fertilization at 80% and landscape installs. Boy, that really, I'm glad that we're doing the presentation that we're doing.
Yeah, so have I, so have I. All right, cool. Let's get started. So, Holganix programs and products. Rob, do you want to dive into this?
So basically, one of the things that we want to focus on at Holganix is we always start with biology. And there's been a lot of different programs over the years that all of us have either been successful with or tinkered with. And we want to make sure that we're finding the balance within these programs to optimize the results, optimize the agronomy behind them, and keep a practical sense of the economics of a business. And I don't think anybody's listed as a charitable business that's on here. So we're trying to make sure that you get the ROI that you're looking for, and that could be through the referrals that you get, maybe the effectiveness of the program to reduce service calls, but also in just the budget. When you're considering the project or products that you're using, and comparing that apples to apples.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I guess really, Rob, it comes down to these two, at least for the guys that are on the webinar, guys and gals, excuse me, that are on the webinar today, comes down to these two types of how to use Holganix products. We have the Plant Start applications and the Soil Smart program. We're going to dive into these in depth, but do you want to go over them briefly?
Well, we are going to go over them in the later slides, but one of the reasons that we narrowed this down is because of the demand, and you all saw that based on the survey results. The Soil Smart program can address your lawn fertilization and your tree and shrub applications. The Plant Start applications is really going to focus on the installers, whether you're installing landscape or sod or any type of plant to new soil. We're going to focus on that as well.
Awesome. So the first one we're going to cover today is the Plant Start application. So Rob, what is a Plant Start application?
So a Plant Start application is, this is a very simple concept, but it's also a matter of being able to explain it based on the fact that you understand it. So when you think of an application of Bio 800 product that's being installed or applied during an install, really what you're trying to do is incorporate a soil ecosystem into a place of dead soil where you don't have that and you need the plant to thrive and take hold and get the result and you need it to be predictable. Here you can see two different examples of installations that have been done in the past. So if you look at the top one, you have your nursery setting where these plants have been nurtured. They're in ideal soil conditions. They're paid attention to every single day. The contractor is going to go and pick out the best plants that you possibly can find and plant them at the ideal time. Make sure that all of your controllable aspects, such as planting depth, how you water things in, that's all controlled to the best of your ability. And one of the problems that we run into, if you look at this top line, is that you're planting it into soil that has been disturbed before. Every plant wants to be in its native environment. So when we transplant this, we're automatically taking it out of its native environment and expecting it to thrive the way that it typically would. The problem is that we're leaving this up to chance. We're leaving it up to the homeowners as well to do the proper maintenance practices, which we all know that for multiple different reasons, they probably aren't going to do that. That could be because they don't have time to water. It could be because maybe they just chose a bad spot. They pruned at the wrong time. Could be anything. They could come into a stressful weather circumstance, and it really leaves the plant susceptible to potential damage or just showing stress, showing that transplant shock that we've seen way too often. The bottom line is basically the same procedure. There's only one thing that's changing. You're still going to the nursery and selecting that same group of plants. You're still going through all of the procedures that you would typically do in your transportation, in your prepping of the new location for the plant, in planting the plant, except the difference is in stage 3, you're watering it in with Bio 800 product. Now, this doesn't add a step because you have to water this in anyway. The difference is that you're adding the biology into the soil so that that plant feels as though it's in its native environment. And you're, in essence, taking dead soil and turning it into living soil so that that plant can get all the nutrients that it wants, and it's going to extend its root system and really be able to thrive instead of just focusing on surviving. And in essence, we're trying to reduce those callbacks that everybody hates. Nobody wants a callback that's saying, you know, oh, this plant's not doing well, or I'm not sure if it's supposed to look this way. If you think about when an install, say it's a landscape install, and somebody's getting the front of their house done, and they just got it done, and that is going to get is at the time of install, or maybe a week after that. People are going to come up and notice it, and that's when they're going to make comments on it. That is also the prime time of when you're going to get referrals for that work. So if it's going to look good at any time, that's when you want it to look good. That's not when you want it to be dropping leaves or being discolored. You want that to be thriving so that somebody comes up and says, hey, I love the job that was done here, and man, look at how those plants are already in bloom, and I can't believe, you know, how long has this been in here? It looks like it's been in here forever. That's really when you want it to be thriving the most. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this Bio 800 application, just watering it in at the time of planting.
So really, I mean, you've kind of already touched on these, but when you're using a plant start application, when you're using the Bio 800 products within that plant start application, it's all about reducing the transplant shock, growing strong plant roots, and boosting color. Is that about it, Rob?
The first and the third one are really what I was talking about, where we're reducing the transplant shock and we're boosting the color. The growing strong plant roots has to do with the sustainability of it. You know, a lot of times we hear year-long warranties on plants that were installed, and you're getting warranties from the nursery as well, but it really has nothing to do with the cost of the plant. It has to do with the cost of not getting a referral, and also the cost of going back out to those jobs to fix work. You know, you get one chance to nail that job and have everybody say, wow, I can't believe how good of a job they did. And you want to make sure that you have all 3 of these aspects in play. And growing those strong plant roots are going to help the sustainability of those plants and make that landscape or install really thrive for the life of that project. So 3 of the products that we focus on for these installs are they're all Bio 800 products. So you can find all of them in the refrigerator, in the distributor, and that's the Holganix Tree and Shrub, Holganix Bloom, and Holganix Lawn. Really, the simplest way to think about this, you know, when I make a recommendation, if you're installing trees and ornamentals, flowers, you're using Bloom. If you're installing turf, whether it be through new seed or sod, you're using lawn. You know, the tree and shrub formula can be great for those things as well. But I like to keep it easy and just focus, you know, if it's a new install, I'm using Bloom. If it's turf, I'm using lawn.
So this is a great story that really illustrates some of those points that we discussed when it comes to install. This one's a sod install by that came to us through Brian Smith. He's the Ewing Edmond branch manager. Rob, do you want to discuss this story?
Example.
Yeah.
I love this example because every time I look at this, the automatic, because of comparisons that we've seen before, in presentations like this, everybody always thinks, oh, wow, look at that before and after. That is not a before and after. That is one section that was treated and one section that wasn't. The reason that it wasn't is just because of miscalculation on how much product was needed for the total site. But this sod was installed, and this is the results 2 weeks after the fact. The picture on the right was watered in with the Bio 800 product, and the picture on the left was not watered in with the Bio 800 product. Still watered in, but there was no other products used. And you can see, you know, the aesthetic value of a car dealership. Obviously, they're going to want this to look good. They're going to want it to happen quickly. But it's not only that; it's that you're getting that look of and satisfaction of the job being completed and looking good right away. And you know that you're not going to have to come back out there for it. Whereas the picture on the left, some of that sod's probably going to have to be replaced because that's only 2 weeks after the fact, and it's looks like it's getting worse, not better. Regardless of how much they're, some of that sod just may not be taking to the soil, and that could be because of the amount of biology that's within that soil. So when we're adding that entire ecosystem, we're not just using a food source for the biology to multiply what's there. We're adding the entire ecosystem and not taking the chance of what's there or what's not there. We don't need to figure it out. It's made simple by the amount of ingredients in the Bio 800 product, where you have over 800 different species of biology incorporated in there. So we don't have to figure it out. We know we're providing a benefit each time that application's done.
It's almost like cheating when you look at this picture.
Well, yeah, and this is an obvious one, and sometimes they are this obvious. Sometimes the soil's in better condition. I just don't want to take the chance. You know, if I'm out there doing an install that's going to have my reputation on the line, I don't want to take the chance of what condition that soil's in. And this is the simple way to not have to worry about it and just, hey, I'm going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it when I'm using that product.
I love that analogy. So what does a plant start application look like?
So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this. The Bloom RTU, the ready to use unit, that's really one of the simplest ways. You know, you can just get that right from the distributor and use that at the end of a garden hose. There's other hose end sprayers that you can use if you want to. You know, you can get a more high quality hose end sprayer that's designed for multiple uses. Backpack sprayers, even watering can. I actually use a watering can around my house. Mm-hmm. And just, you know, for vegetable garden, for potted plants, different things like that, just because it's so simple to, you know, pour a little bit of Bloom in there, mix it with water and go out. I mean, I'm reckless with how I do it because I know adverse effect to it. So I just pour a little bit in there. I probably overdo it and water it in and walk away and forget about it. That's one of the nicest things about using the product by itself is there's no detriment to over applying other than wasting money. But if you're doing it on a small scale, then you're not even thinking about it. You're dumping it in and going just to make sure that you get the result that you want.
And we do have a video that will be available in a follow-up email after this webinar. Unfortunately, we can't share it during the webinar. It just won't play right to all of your computer screens. But it'll walk you through mixing, directions, and whatnot for all 4 of these different ways of using the product during a plant start application. So this is just a little review. So Bio 800 products are used in plant start applications to 1, reduce transplant shock, which means less callbacks for you. 2, grow strong plant roots, which means the plant's more resilient regardless of what it's going to face. And 3, boost color, which really speaks back to that callback.
And Katie, I would make sure that, coming from the perspective of having owned a business where I had to deal with a large customer base and knowing what those phone calls are like, it is by far the most profitable businesses through referrals. And if you can take advantage of the prime time to get your referrals by making your product look as good as it possibly can at that point in time, that along with the ease of doing it may actually be some of the key takeaways that from a business perspective, it's got to be easy because I need everybody to be able to do it without calculating something, just easy. So it is an easy application, and it's going to be effective when I need it to be effective. And therefore, I can get a result from that pertains to my business.
Awesome point. So the second way to use Holganix products, is through the Soil Smart programs. So Rob, you want to describe this graphic a little?
So yeah, similar to the explanation we had before about the install and how the two comparisons, we're going to compare a synthetic program with Soil Smart program. The synthetic fertilizer program was typically you're going to use your fertilizers and your pesticides, and you're going to balance out that program depending upon where you may need lime for the pH level in the soil. But your primary components of a synthetic fertilizer program are your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, along with your pre-emergence and your post-emergence, and possibly any fungicides that you're going to need. And you're going to get the result that you're used to getting. I guess that's the easiest way to say it. But you're not necessarily going to get a result that is going to be sustainable. When we look at a Soil Smart program, we're incorporating Holganix with that. We're able to reduce the amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, and reduce the amount of pesticides because of the effectiveness of the products. When we do that, we're basically, even though the pictures are simple on here, that they really do speak volumes, because that's what the real difference is. You can see how much richer the soil would be, how much more the root system is extending into that soil. That provides so many benefits, not just, we're used to the one-dimensional benefits when we think about a product, and we say, hey, this is designed for the green up. And, you can see that, and that's great. You don't realize that maybe it's skipping a few steps in order to keep that green. And then you realize that it wears off at 3.5 weeks after an application. You already start to see that color dip off. Or you may see, based on certain stressors within the weather, you may get disease activity, or the grass may show insect activity extremely fast, or it just may be delicate. That might be the best word for it. Is we don't need turf to be delicate at all. We need it to be resilient. And the way that we build resilient turf in a program is by making sure that the foundation that it's built on is strong. So that's what we're focusing on. We're working subsurface to make the results on the surface much, much more predictable.
So why do we serve the maintenance contractor in these Soil Smart programs, Rob?
Well, there's a few different reasons, some of which you can see that are highlighted there. The PhD agronomist reviewed, that's important. Obviously, we want to make sure that these are balanced programs. They are specifically designed for your region, so you don't have to worry about, being in South Carolina and thinking that you're getting a Pennsylvania program. There's been a collaboration there with current users, our reps, our agronomists, all to collaborate and make sure that it is the best suited program for that area. We want it to be convenient and easy to use. So if anything that's suggested on that program, you can find it at the distributor where you can get Holganix. So if it's at the Ewing distributor, you're going to be able to find the 3-way herbicide that you need. You're going to be able to find the pre-emergent, that you need, the fertilizers that are desired for that time of year. They'll all be easy and to find and to get. And then I had mentioned this before, you can get the immediate results, but we're really looking at that long-term plant resilience to make sure that the turf is strong, and that you're not going to see the variety of problems that you can come across from season to season. we're constantly scrambling because the weather is never the same from year to year, and it's usually a new problem that we're facing. Boy, if we can dodge some of those bullets, it would be a whole lot easier. And that's really one of the key focal points for the program, is how can we just make this more predictable? You know, by balancing out the biology and the chemistry, that's really what we're accomplishing. We're not trying to say like, hey, biology is the solution to all the problems, but biology is definitely a building block to use in order to make it much more predictable.
So this is a list of some of the products you might see in your region's Soil Smart program. We're going to dive into each of them in a little bit more depth. The first one being your Bio 800 product, Holganix Lawn. You want to go and touch on that a little bit, Rob?
Yeah, you've heard me talk about Bio 800 product quite a bit, and you know that's where we're putting the ecosystem in the bottle into the soil. And the reason why we're doing it is that diversity actually solves a lot of problems. When we were talking about trying to figure out what type of soil you have or how active that soil is or how rich the soil is, we don't have the luxury to figure that out usually. You know, if you're on a small scale, you can do that and you can get some of your answers. But we're still, you know, and I say we, it's not just us, the whole community of you know, within the science community, really still learning about, you know, soil biology, and there's still a lot to be learned. So, you know, if we're able to incorporate this thriving ecosystem, we're going to be able to avoid a lot of the missteps that we could potentially have just from not knowing really what's going on. Obviously, you can develop root growth, enhance the seed germination. And as I mentioned before, we were able to reduce the amount of fertilizers, pesticides, and water just because of the efficiency of the soil and therefore the effectiveness within the plant. And each program is designed to capitalize on each one of these products at different times. So based on the time of like seeding, you'll notice that the Bio 800 product would be in there and be prevalent at that point in time in order to capitalize on the seed germination and the root growth. You can find all these Bio 800 products. Bio 800 products are the refrigerated products. They're always in the distributor, in the refrigerator, and that when we talk about getting the reductions with other inputs, and we talk about the ecosystem within a bottle, that's the Bio 800 products, where you have the 800 diverse species of biology within that.
Our second product is PB1 LTO 402. You want to touch on that?
Yeah, another great use. So this is another product that is incorporating biology as the focus in order to enhance the results that you're getting in your program. So I love this product when it comes to hot weather, because we're often trying to still produce an aesthetic result that your homeowners can expect to have, and we know is extremely difficult to get because we have to be conscious of the amount of nitrogen that we're putting down. This is a unique way to get that nitrogen source to the plant, through the use of biology, through the use of polyamino acid, and obviously it's a 402 fertilizer. That 402 is not really what's doing all the work. The biology is doing the work in this product. This does not need to be refrigerated. It's also a lower use rate, makes it a little bit easier. But you know, when we are focused on the green up, you will.
So you cut out at that last bit, Rob. So when you're looking for the green up, could you finish that thought?
Well, it's an easy way to get the green up for the turf or for, you know, trees and shrubs when you don't have the flexibility to just use any amount of nitrogen that you would want to, or a typical amount of nitrogen. So, you know, in the spring when the temperatures aren't as hot as in the summer, you can really get away with using more nitrogen, such as this Blue Sky fertilizer. And the PB1, because of the different nitrogen source through the biology, actually, it's kind of a sneaky way to get that green up. So the Holganix Blue Sky 2100, this is a slow release fertilizer. What's unique about this is that it is designed to work with the Bio 800 and have a very synergistic relationship because it has food sources in it. So if you're incorporating the ecosystem already into the soil with the Bio 800 and you use Blue Sky, you're actually promoting the growth of that ecosystem along with the growth of the plant. So you could imagine that it's like putting a workforce into the soil, and then this is making that workforce even more efficient and growing it, so that you're getting more efficiencies out of the fertilizer. This fertilizer goes a long, long way, and you don't have to use it at a very high rate. So you're able to get a good quality fertilizer that can really be a backbone nitrogen source for a program, where you get the predictability, you get the longevity of it, and you're still getting that pop of color that you need at certain times for either new customers or in the beginning of the season. Here's another fertilizer, the 210-20, and obviously, we're switching the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium around for a different focus. So the phosphorus and potassium on this are really designed to act as a seed starter to develop all that root growth. It has been used as a winterizer before, and it is used as a winterizer in different soil smart programs depending upon the region. This has the same polyamino acid that the PB1 has. So that polyamino acid, I didn't really explain this before, but one of the unique aspects of it, if I'm going to explain this in layman's terms, you think of the, you're adding all this, all the biology into the soil with sometimes a Bio 800, you can add it in with PB1, and you're getting all these food sources for the plant freed up and available for that plant. If they're not, if they don't make it to the root system of that plant, they're available, they're just still not being used. The polyamino acid is a way to pull those available food sources to the root system of the plant and increase the uptake. So that's one of the reasons why this 210-20 is more effective than what a standard 210-20 would be.
Mm-hmm. And the last product we're really going to touch on within the Soil Smart program is the granular. That's Healthy Grow infused with Holganix.
Yeah, this is unique in the sense that, and not necessarily because of the results, fantastic results, but it's unique because of what it combines. You have your Bio 800 infused into the granular of the fertilizer, but you're also using an organic-based fertilizer so that you're getting all that organic material in there, you're getting your NPK that you need, and you're also getting the biology that you need all in one shot. So for convenience purposes, this is a fantastic product. You don't get some of the reductions on the pesticides that you get on the Bio 800, and that's just because of the way that the products work. The timing of the release of the product. When it's a liquid, it's very predictable. When it's a granular, it depends on moisture levels. But there's been a lot of different circumstances where when we have had customers that are looking for a solution and they have tried a lot of different things, we have often started with this, on sports turf and golf courses, where we say, your place is in such bad condition that why don't we just make sure that we get everything in there in one shot, get the fertilizer, get the organic matter in there, and get the biology in there, and then we can start nurturing it along after that. But it's a good way to get everything incorporated in one application.
So this is really just an example of what a Soil Smart program looks like. This is one that's in Colorado, and there's 4 rounds for this one, but it'll be different depending on what region you're in. And you can download them by going to holganix.com/soilsmart, or you can just wait for my follow-up email and I'll send you a link. So here are key takeaways, Rob.
So as I stated before, PhD agronomist reviewed, and it was, not only designed for your region, but the agronomist was also involved in that. We had some key players within your territory that were involved with that, and a lot of research that went into it. So it is specifically designed for you. It's also, this is not something that's set in stone. So you may notice that midway through a season, it is possible that something is changed or redesigned based on new findings. But you would be able to go to the website and get any updates on it. But these are pretty rock solid programs where they've been tested before. We know what the results are from these. That's why we're suggesting them. Don't forget they're convenient and easy to use, easy to find within your distributors, and the result that everybody's looking for. We want that immediate pop, but also that predictability and resilience that we're trying to form. If we're spending the time going into some of these programs and investing the time and energy and with our customers, we want to make sure that they stay as our customers. So this is a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm. So we're just about out of time, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of finish up this portion of the webinar. At the end of the webinar, there'll be a survey that pops up. Please take the survey. It'll help us improve the webinars as time goes on. There's also a section where if for some reason we didn't answer your question or I missed it somehow, throw it in that little suggestion/question box on the survey, and we will address it in the next 24 hours. And also look for my follow-up email with the resources mentioned during the webinar. If you need our contact information, there's Rob's email and myself and Barrett's. So thanks so much, guys, for taking the time out of your day today to spend it with us and learn more about Holganix products. I really appreciate all of the engagement. We had a lot of questions. So thank you so much again for your engagement and your time today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's attention.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day, guys.